having a bye week immediately after the big rivalry game between Texas and Oklahoma. It could be a risk because if you lose, it's going to be a tough week of practice, week of recruiting. How do you keep your head up? But luckily for the Longhorns, they don't have to worry about that this week. They beat the Sooners and immediately are rewarded with the signing of 3 prospects, a fullback, which is a much-needed position to be filled at kicker, while not as important as your regular position, still something that had to be done, and then also adding a guy at receiver. Everything moving along well at the other positions. At the quarterback spot, our one target is still well within reach. At the running back position, it looks like we're still in line to probably add 3 guys. Florida has kind of jumped back into the race, and so with Chris gone here, the Longhorns are going to spend a little more time and effort kind of milking that situation, not trying to necessarily run away from it, but he's so far into the process that I don't know that the Gators have a realistic opportunity to jump back in. With Joe Green and BJ Butler, it's so late in the game for other schools. Texas has such a nice lead there. Keith Carr would really round out a nice recruiting class at the receiver spot after Little has signed. The tight end position, Texas is trailing, but they do sit in an okay position because there are some visits yet to come and because of the points that can be poured into both of those guys moving forward in recruiting. We've got visits coming up in week 12 for Charlie Butler. A gap of about 1,000 points there, but a lot of that comes off of the fact that Oklahoma just invited him in for a visit during their contest with Texas, which interestingly enough, the Longhorns won. So hopefully that kind of works as a visit times 2 for the Longhorns. That's not going to reflect well on Oklahoma. And then here with Huffman, we're not really competing with anybody locally other than Tulsa. But as far as the Power 5 conferences go, only Arizona State is on the map there. Sam Callahan, Texas jumps into the lead there again over Tulsa. Poor Tulsa, just getting picked on by the big boys. It's hard to recruit when you're in the same state as OU, Oklahoma State, and then next door to all the big schools down in Texas. Vincent Sanders at guard. Texas A&M gets surpassed by the Longhorns there. So there you see it. The win has really vaulted Texas. And by signing some guys, it allows them to allocate hours and attention to other guys at other positions. On the defensive side, Terrence Daniels, our sole target on the defensive line, a much-needed spot that's got to be filled. Still sitting in a good place there with him. Will Thompson, not a highly coveted recruit, but at middle linebacker, Jason Davis and Anthony Jones. Those are some guys that we really have to get in, especially Jason Davis, one of the top prospects in the nation. But as you know, there are 6 other schools, and Jason Davis is from the state of Ohio. You may remember that from previous recruiting videos. And so we don't have that pipeline connection. So we've got to pour every bit of our energy into him. He is probably our number 1 priority across the entire board right now. Derek Johnson, we're looking good. Passing up Rice, making some distance there. Doug George, hey, we decided a kicker. Why not get the punter on board as well? We'll take care of the special teams side of things. We don't really necessarily need that 100 points there. And as far as bringing him in for a visit, we could just go ahead and do that and get it done during the bye week. There's no real incentive to wait with him because of the gap. All the other schools are so far behind. Might as well get him in here. So not too worried about bringing him on the bye week. And then with those points, like I was saying, the 100 points probably not going to make a big difference. Since we're bringing him in, we're going to get a nice boost there. Let's go ahead and put those points, that 100 points, those hours, that attention into the middle linebacker position, just to make sure. Lastly, our athletes, Adrian Anderson and Cody Ingle. Even though Oklahoma's creeping in on Anderson because of the visit again, we just beat them. So not much you can say about that. With Cody Ingle, it's time to get him in. It looks like everybody else has locked him up as much as possible. Unfortunately, that means we're going to have to bring him in week 8 or 10. So no matter what, he's coming here first. Not a lot of recruiting point bonuses that we can throw out because of the fact that he's coming so soon. But either way, let's get him in here. Let's get a victory and let's get him signed up. And so there you see we're moving along quite well. Let's look at the top guys throughout the country and some of the big signings so far. TCU has signed the top running back Sean Carter. Corey Hartman, the top receiver, has signed with the Ohio State Buckeyes. He's a local guy for them. Also at quarterback, Jason Patterson has signed with the Buckeyes out of Florida. Ohio State able to reach anywhere and everywhere that they want to. There's Patterson again. Sean Carter again signing with TCU. Also out of Texas, signing with the Aggies is Mr. Kennedy there, another 5-star prospect. And SMU locking in a top guy. Along with Hartman, there you see Stevens out of Boone, Iowa, going all the way to the West Coast to play for the Cougars, Washington State. And then Joe Little, our own guy there, coming on in to join us in Austin. The tight end positions, Tate Johnson signing with South Carolina, and then Aaron Brown. OU grabs a key guy there. We never like to see that as a Longhorn. Offensive line, we got one tackle that has already locked his name in, and then 2 centers, one from Oklahoma going to Arkansas, a second from Oklahoma going to Florida. You gotta love that when they don't stick with the Sooners. If you can't sign them as a Texas Longhorn, the next best thing is for them to sign with anybody other than OU. Rodney Williams out of Texas going to Alabama, and then Nebraska, a local guy staying with the Huskers there. Defensive line, one big name at the tackle spot, Nate Stanley out of Chester, Virginia, signing with the Hokies. Staying close to home and in the middle, we're chasing one Davis, but Brian Davis out of Auburn, Washington, gets signed by the Sooners. Where did that come from? Well, hopefully we get Jason Davis here. 2 of the top 3 middle linebacker recruits in the nation could be landing in the Big 12. Neither one living in their, going from their home state and staying in their home state, actually leaving town there. So a couple of athletes. We're obviously after a couple of guys. Matt Blair out of Texas, unfortunately signed with Ohio State. A couple other guys, another Alabama and another Wisconsin signing. Actually, the first Wisconsin signing we've seen so far, with 3 guys signed. Texas sitting at 35 overall. Early draft class projections here. Obviously, a lot of guys are going to land soon. Arkansas looking great so far. Number 1 with a 5-star, 7 4-stars. Ohio State with a nice class coming along with 3 5-stars. Notre Dame behind with 1. And Washington State with 2 5-star recruits signed. TCU, the other lone school there in the top 10 with a 5-star. So that brings us to next week. We're on the road again, taking on TCU, the number 14 Horned Frogs. Another tough contest. Should be a good matchup, though, before we return home to take on Kansas. But first things first, we got the Purple on the Road. That video coming soon. We'll see you then.